So we're going to open up Hoplite with Ephesus. Ephesus. This is a situation where the Greeks have been sieging a city. They retreat, faced with greater Persian forces, and are forced to turn around and fight by the Persian pursuers. And it should be a pretty one-sided battle. Uses the plain clear map. Get some special rules here, which is what I'm looking for. Among which the Greeks have their Hoplite command split between two leaders here. The overall commander is also a line commander, or whatever they want to call him now. Okay, special rules. The Persian's going to get initiative. He gets to choose a command to move first. The Persian pursuit rule says that the Persians cannot voluntarily move towards the Persian retreat edge, that side of the map. And then there's kind of a, well, this is a play balance purpose to keep the Persian infantry from running away. This can be ignored if both players feel like it overly restricts Persian tactics. I don't know which to do, you know. There's sort of a historical basis to it. I'll try to go with it. And then victory is set at 30 RPs, route points for each army. And I'm not really thinking of it. So I've got the Persians down here because, you know, this has a picture of Persians. But in terms of placement, you know, as to what works best on the map, it doesn't. This actually kind of should be up there. I looked at the other sheet. The other sheet is the exact same as this. So I don't know why there's two of them. I don't know what to go with first with the Persians, so I'll come back after I make that decision. Okay, so with my Persians, I've chosen to activate my Cav wing, which is the force over here. The reason being, I think it's my most effective unit. It has a bunch of light Cav that can move up and kind of harass the Hoplites. Now, the problem with the Hoplites is you really kind of have to stay away from them with most units, which is to say you don't want to be in 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 hex range of them because they might hit you there. But the Cav have the orderly withdrawal capability, so I feel pretty safe moving up close. So what we're going to do, we're going to grab the charts and look at the fire table and see what I'm armed with. I'm armed with composite bows over here, which are pretty good. They go out to range 3. Now, against hoplites, that's going to give me a +1 to the die roll, which means I normally would need a 1. I'd need a 0 at range 3. So I may want to move to range 2 on them. I can still do orderly withdrawal if the hoplites activate. So let's try that. It's clear terrain, so we're not going to see much excitement here. So I'm going to buzz away. I'm going to be paying more attention to the details of this first game than I would normally because, well, I'm still getting a feel for the rules again, and I feel like it'll be helpful to go into that for people first coming to the game. Maybe I forgot about how this system works. So as I move each unit, I've got to actually take care of its fire opportunity. So as this guy comes into range, he gets first shot. Let's grab some dice. And I'm at range 2, so I've got the 4. There's the +1 for composite versus, ooh, these are Hoplite phalanx, so it's +2. So I only hit on a 2 or less. And I'll just roll for each of those. Boom, I get a hit. That's with this guy. I'll keep going down the line. Okay, so I've done 2 cohesion hits on him. And those are going to be marked with this, which I generally put under the unit. I know some people like to put it on top so it's more visible. I feel like that destroys my appreciation of the game. So here comes the problem. I've got these skirmishers in the way. Those I'm not going to be able to close with quite the same. What I'm going to do is I'm going to close to here. Now, I don't think they get a fire at me for entering their hex. I think they only get it if I shoot at them. Look at reaction fire. Oh, no, if I move adjacent to them. I don't want to give them that extra shot, so I'm going to stand here. I'm going to shoot at the skirmishers, try to knock them out. They'll get their shot back. They're slingers. I think they shouldn't be as good at this range. So I've got composite bow. At range 2 is 4. Firing against skirmishers is at +1 because their dispersion makes them harder to hit, I guess. So I need a 3 or less to hit him. And I do not hit, and I get a low ammo marker over on these guys, which will be a problem. I hope I didn't roll any of those. Now, what happens here with the fire, return fire? It may fire back. Okay, I can't use entry and return fire. So if I was coming up close, I would have been fine just hitting him directly. But he's going to be a slinger at range 2. Oh, look, he doesn't get to shoot. One reason for me to go there. And I'm going to continue just trying to pick those off. No. This one. No. And now I got my heavy cav, which I want to move into place too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm still going to be in command range here. My command range is 5. This is my overall commander. That's why he has so many numbers. So I've completed this activation, and now I'll be picking from the cup for the next activation. I couldn't have trumped the first initiative activation in the turn. For my second draw of the turn, I got the Ionian Momentum, and I want to use this to move my skirmishers. Everybody's in command, 1, 2, 3, 4, and these guys, of course, as well. So I guess my goal is to kind of get the skirmishers over to face the chariots, because at least they have some chance against them. They really don't against anything else. So, for example, these are all, well, these guys are javelins. I got my stupid slingers over on this side, which is the worst place in the world for them, I think. I don't know. The javelins, yeah, neither one goes out to range 2. So the light cav can just pull out of there and not have to fight me. So they're going to do a withdrawal, and they don't suffer any penalty. They're cav, so they can do that fairly easily. They're going to get to pull back 3 hexes. But I think I'm doing formation withdrawal here. I just have to see how often they can do it. I think they can do it every time. Cav command withdrawal. In addition, once a single in-command unit uses an individual orderly withdrawal, the command is not eligible to withdraw as a command for a given activation. So not only do I get to withdraw, but I get to withdraw and fire at the same time at the offending unit. So I've got a lot of fire that I can take at him. Now, am I allowed? I believe I'm allowed to fire out my flank with this. It's 7 point something for withdrawal reaction. Yeah, I'm allowed to fire out my flank with this. So, we're going to get another series of fires at this to see if I can wipe it out. Nothing too exciting to show there. Action fire on the withdrawal did 3 cohesion hits. That's going to be enough to rout him now. When skirmishers rout, they're destroyed. So we take the 1 rout point necessary or to handle that. Now I get to move these. Now these, it's kind of a pain to move these. I want to move in range where I can skirmish against the javelins. I hear beeping. The problem is I'm also in range that the chariots can come in and hurt me at the same time. The problem there is, well, there's nothing I can do about this. I'm clearing some space for the hoplites to start moving. And maybe I can get lucky and damage some of those chariots. Without that, my skirmishers are probably pretty much useless. The only other thing they could do is charge forward to try to meet these skirmishers. I really have a strong disadvantage in terms of number of troops available. Alright, so the next ship picked was Persian light infantry, which unfortunately is behind the skirmishers. So I shifted them up. What's up with those skirmishers? Are they part of the light infantry in this scenario? They might be. They don't seem to have a leader. The skirmisher command. What's up with that? B. No, A. They don't have a skirmisher commander. That's the problem that I'm seeing here. It's a leaderless command. Ah, shit. I should have done that. 5.51. What does that mean I can do with it? It can be selected for momentum and trump. If it's the command in the start of an order phase, if it's within a range of another unit that's in command, it can operate as if it's in command. So I can push those skirmishers forward with the infantry. This guy's got a range of 1, 2, 3, 4. So I could put a line up here. Now skirmishers, unlike regular units, I think have a within 2 hex command radius. I may be mistaking that with other games in the series. And I'm going to have to look that up. See if there's any special rules for skirmishers. Because otherwise they're not going to be in command for long if they are. I've read these rules, but you know, it's hard once you're used to a series. Skirmishers. Ah, geez, I'm not seeing anything about them. I don't know if I was all in command there. I'll have to take a pause here. My next chit was a momentum chit. And my thinking there was, I want to use the chariots and launch the attack with them, which is why I was rushing ahead. But if I could move the skirmishers, I wanted to, I think. Yeah, that rule is here in the independent leaderless command. That's what gives it the 2 hex range. So as long as I keep them within 2 hexes of each other as they set up, I can push them forward. Now, you could be looking at the Persian force and say, how the hell do they win with this shit? They win by harassing with the light cav and the chariots and maybe the skirmishers. They're not going to be able to engage the hoplites directly. So let's take care of that chariot attack that I want to do. Now, the chariots are faster than the skirmishers, so the skirmishers aren't going to be able to get out of the way. As we move into here, we take a missile fire for closing range. And I don't know where I left my dice. They're below me. And these are javelin skirmishers at range 1. Now I've chosen, I'm allowed, I believe, to fire my chariot at range 1 as well. And as well as engage in melee here. So we're going to do that at the same time. The chariot has the standard composite bow. At range 1, it needs a 6. Now that asterisk says if I roll a die roll less than 0, I cause 2 cohesion hits. That's not going to happen here because the skirmisher has a +1 against that. And then for the skirmisher, I'm using, what did I say, javelin. At range 1 is 4. Javelin against chariot is -1 to the die roll, which is kind of good. So that got a 6. But the chariot ended up getting a hit on these guys. We're going to need to get these counters closer to me so that I can drop a quick point on them. Now I don't want to go into this hex because 2 guys could shoot at me, and we're going to do the same here. We're going to do that a couple more times. I'll come back for the melee itself to get pretty sloppy. As each of these moved into play, they should have picked up one of these shock, no TQ check markers. However, the defenders are all going to have to make TQ checks, if I'm not mistaken. In order to do that, they're going to simply make a roll against their TQ check here. So this guy's got a TQ check of 3. He's got a leader on him. I think that gives him a +1. He rolls an 8, so he routs and is destroyed. I gotta check the leader, see if the leader's killed or something. He's not. I'm gonna leave him here for now. And that gives us another point here. Now, I'm not sure if I advance after combat with that, because I didn't actually hit him. Attacking units do not advance due to a hex vacated on pre-resolution. If they're in the front hex of another enemy unit, they keep attacking. So I will be advancing into this hex. And we'll leave that leader there so I can remember to place him somewhere. When we continue with these others, these guys also have a 3. Yeah, they're gone too. Along with their low missile. And then here, an 8, they're gone too. And only one of these gets to advance into that hex. The leader is in command of that organization. I'm just going to plop him off. He can have no more effect. He's not allowed to command the hoplites. So since his command's destroyed, that's what happens. And then we push these back. Okay, and my stupid camera failed to recharge. Great. The next pick I got was the Ionian Skirmishers. There aren't any left, so I'm just pulling that out of the game. That'll not be valuable anymore. And then I came up with the Persian Chariots. Now, they're the guys who took the momentum. They don't pay any penalty for that. If they were hoplites or heavy infantry, maybe even medium, they would pay a penalty in terms of if they moved and they move again, they take a cohesion hit for that. But they don't get that. And now here's where the special rules for this scenario, I think, hurt the Persians beyond belief. What I'd like to do is swing these guys around behind. Force the hoplites to either turn and face them or ignore them and take an attack. But I'm not allowed to move in that direction, and I'm going to say bullshit on that. I just don't buy that. This is what chariots are for. They're not. None of these Persian units are meant to attack front on. So if I can't do that, yeah, it's going to cause problems because all I'm going to be able to do is these harrying attacks to the front of the units. That's not appropriate. So I'm going to activate these suckers and, you know, to hell with balance. That was put in maybe for some sort of balance reason, they say. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that's good enough there. I'm at 2 hexes. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I'll be able to do the same here. And I'm going to be launching my missiles. Now, theoretically, the missile fire should again happen at the same time as my movement. Unfortunately, these guys here are javelin armed. They're not going to be able to fire. But these guys in the front have the composite bows, and we'll just be doing the normal composite bow attacks with them. My plan is to withdraw using the organized withdrawal. That's going to cause problems. Chariots take a cohesion hit for doing that, but that's okay. Kind of cheated with those skirmishers. They actually have a chit that was in the cup. They should be back. I moved them forward, and they should not have moved. They just move if they're in command. They're in command if they're not near their own units. That's all. They don't need a leader at all. They're not they're not reliant on the commander here that I thought they were. Anyway, the Hoplite commander for the Ionians came up. I can define this as two different commands. I don't have to keep the Athenians on one side. I can basically split my force in half if I so desire. The problem I'm going to have is as soon as I activate these guys, we're going to see those chariots run away. And I'm going to look for the OW rules on that. If I can find them. I don't know where they are. I'm not, there we go. Okay. So now, these are chariots withdrawing. You know what? I bet you it's going to be just as hard for me to figure out what's going on here, but I bet you there's a summary here. It's probably in here for automatic cohesion hits. Orderly withdrawal by non-SK infantry or chariots. I think that means the Cav actually had to pay the hits, not the chariots. Let me see how this is actually worded. I thought... Here we go. Withdrawing infantry and chariot units take the cohesion hit. Okay, so the chariots take the cohesion hit, the Cav do not. And I have to fall back. Since everybody's within 2, I can do a withdrawal, and I believe I can do the missile withdrawal fire reaction. Yep. So I'm going to get more shots on this unit as it activates. By the nature of the units I'm facing, I'm not going to be able to hurt anything except the light infantry up there. So in a sense, that's what I've got to charge. Now, maybe I can push some units back, like the chariots or whatever, and that might be worthwhile as a concept. So I'm going to do that, but now we come to the neat thing that we haven't done in any Great Battles of History that I've done on video yet, which is the Hoplite Advanced Combat. And for each of these I get to roll. This guy's taken only 2 hits total. That heavy armor for the Hoplite Phalanx is awesome. And we just make a die roll. He's got no modifier as of yet. So these guys are walking. And I find a little walk marker. And they're only going to get 3 movement points. Now walk has effects, which are listed. The unit does not take cohesion hits for terrain effects. Drift to right doesn't take effect. I'm going to head straight for those chariots to try to scare them away. And now we go to the next one. And he's on a trot. In a sense, you kind of don't need a counter for trots. But you kind of want to remind yourself of what the force is doing. Then this one, it doesn't really matter how I divide the commands up at this point, but you'll see I've divided them up at the end of all of this, I think, because I'm going to try to chase some of those Cav out of my way too, for whatever good that can do. I want to put my heavier force here against, I don't know why. We'll check another one. We get a 6, that's another trot. Trot's pretty good. Next one is trotting. That's 2 hexes I've just entered. That means the cav could take a withdrawal, which they will because they get to fire their arrows one more time by doing it. Yes, it may throw us a little out of range, but I think that's what we want to do. So we'll take care of that right quickly. We do not hit composite. I don't think runs out on an 8. I think they need a 9. Yeah, the bows need a 9 to run out. It's the javelins that have a problem. Which means 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not going to do a full command withdrawal here, although that can be useful. Now on to this guy. He's just walking. Now this guy just got shot. I got to deal with that. I forgot about that. Attacked by missile fire at a walk or trot, he gets another die roll at +1. A 3, he's going to go to a trot. That was this guy. He was at a trot, so he stays there. And now the final one is also a trot. Okay, when I hit here, these two then get their archery fire. It's red for the guy on my left. I get a hit. I've got another movement point left. But these guys get to run away. This one's a little problematic. He doesn't have an interpenetration issue, but he can kind of swerve this way. I'm not sure that made him further away, so let's do it that way. And we get another move, but we just got shot at, so we take another roll. 5, 6, that keeps us at trot. We'll keep everybody near each other. That gets possible fire from these. That's a low ammo marker on him. These come out 4. Running away. A check for the advance rate. That's going to go to a run. Every time he's going to move now, he makes a tactical quality check. But he wants to stop the pain of the arrows. And he'll be charging forward. Now he's got a movement allowance of 5 at this point. That's all I've gotten with them. My last shit is going to be the skirmishers, which are just going to move up to how they were before. For the rest of the game, I'm probably going to be stepping away quite a bit in terms of the amount of detail I'm giving you, although I may jump in when really interesting stuff is happening. I'm not done with the turn yet, so I haven't quite gotten to the point where I want to do things kind of looser. So the skirmishers flung themselves forward. 3 hex range, that's important because if I go first, I can do harassment and disruption type fire. And otherwise, well, when they move closer, I can get away 1 hex. I'm going to be in trouble. Skirmishers are always going to melt away. There's no preventing them from dying. It's just a question of can they serve as a speed bump. And because of the rules in Hoplite, as opposed to the old SPQR rules, the skirmishers actually act like skirmishers. They still cost you something, but not as much as they once did. I think they were 2 route points they used to be. So we're in the route, remove, replace, and reload. If anything's routed, it undergoes route movement. Well, nothing's routed. Remove rallied and move markers. Nothing rallied yet. Out of command. Oh, that's what the backside is for. It's for out of command. It doesn't really show significantly differently. And I don't know how much it really does for you to mark that ahead of time. Place replacement or killed leaders with their commands. Well, the one leader who was removed just because his command was destroyed. Reload. We can get new missiles. Let's check what the restrictions are on that. I'm sure that the 2 units back here are far enough away. The usual restrictions are out of range of an enemy unit, so that it can't fire at you or whatever. If it's not within missile fire range or LOS of a non-engaged enemy unit that's not missile low. So basically, as long as you're not in combat in some form or another, including ranged combat threat, those just go away automatically. And now we count our points if we hadn't done it before. And there's my little facial recognition saying, hey, that's a face over there. We should center the camera's focus on that. I don't know how to turn that off. I don't really want to because I do use this camera for the reviews as well, and that's kind of useful there. But okay, I think that's the end of the first turn. We have a game turn marker. It matters in some scenarios. It doesn't matter in this one, but I like to mark it because that way I can put my little dice up here and say, hey, I'm at the beginning of a new turn, so I can remember to reload my cup. And that's what we have to do at this point, is make a roll for initiative and reload the cup. Since we haven't done that because the beginning of the turn, the beginning of the game involved an automatic initiative, I'll cover that as well. Okay, so for initiative, we look for our overall commanders who are here, and he has an initiative rating of 3, and then over here he has a 2. So essentially there's going to be a +1 for the Persian die roll. And we get 9s, which means there's no initiative. Nobody chooses a chit. All the chits just go in. Yeah, I have 2 momentum chits. Good. And that means we just start off by picking chits right from the beginning. One thing you'll notice is all the chits are gray on the back. Let's see, even if you don't have a cup or whatever, you could scramble them up on the table and pick from them, and they all look the same. Let's see what we're going to start with, because I was set to do an initiative anyway. And we're going to have the Persian skirmishers, which we're going to see something cool then. Let's go to the H&D or whatever. Harassment and debauchery, I don't know. Harassment and dispersal. The debauchery comes from not just my twisted mind, but the old Blackbeard game, which has DNR, debauchery, and revelry in it. Great little roll. Another Berg design. 3 hexes, PLSK within 2 hexes, but not adjacent. I didn't move close enough. Crap. So I'm not going to be able to do that. I can do something similar. I'm going to have to look at the movement rules for skirmishers. But what I can do is I can move 1 away, fire, and then I have to look to see what their movement rules are, whether I can back up again. Yeah, as I thought, skirmishers have special rules for this. So what I can do is 1, 2, fire, 3, 4, 5, essentially. So that's what we're going to do, and we're going to launch a whole line of missile attacks along this. Now, not everything is able to fire and move, though, and that's something I'm going to have to look up here. Find where that is. Light infantry archers only move or fire. They can't do both. These aren't light infantry, though. These are skirmishers, so they can run forward, shoot, and then run back. And this is really not far from what the H&D is. It's just I'm not at the right range to do it. And we ended up with not too good a result. A bunch of low missile markers, which were all misses. A couple of cohesion hits, and I got to check to see if those guys just sped up. he's at a run. The second one is not. So this guy moves from trot to run, which means I'm not going to be able to evade him as easily. And we'll put these casualty indicators. They're not really casualty. They're a mix of different results affecting the effectiveness of those hoplites. And then we just push this forward and we go to the next pick. I'm cheating a little bit. This chariot actually moved from this space to this space. I refuse to be tactically limited to where I can't fall on the rear of the hoplite forces. We're actually doing an assault here because we should end up attacker superior as long as we attack from one of these. That should be pretty good if I haven't mistaken something. Maybe chariots are never able to be superior like some of the other things here. Nope, doesn't look like it. It looks like they have no restriction. But first, I get to fire all my missiles and probably break this thing all to crap. I'll take care of that, come back, and we'll see what happens. And the missile fire resulted in 5 of the 6 tactical quality points that hoplite has. I thought I actually had 5 out of 4, thereby routing them, but that's not the case. So now we go to the initial tactical quality check before the hand-to-hand starts. And to do that, that's the pre-shock battle, or the pre-battle shock check. These guys all should have no shock checks on them because they all engaged on this turn. So I have to roll for the hoplites, and they roll less than the tactical quality, so they don't take any additional hits. So now we go to the attack itself. And this is going to be pretty major. Let's see whether we have anything that would be helpful here. I don't think so. Possible leader casualties. We do have a possible leader casualty up here. That does not happen. And now we resolve the shock. To resolve the shock, is this our first shock combat? I don't remember if we had one. So what we've got is a chariot hitting hoplite phalanx, but we don't worry about this because I'm coming from the rear. So I've got attack superiority there, which means it's a chariot hitting hoplites. It's going to be the crappy 2 table. That's not good. However, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 units to 2 units, which means I get 2 shifts for each additional unit to the right. So that puts me over on the 6 table. There's no terrain. The leader is going to give me +1 because of his command. And these guys were not in a shield wall and certainly weren't defense superior. Okay, so we are on the 6 table at +1 with superiority. And we should get in there. 3, 4. So we're going to take 2 hits, and they're going to take 4. That 4, I'm going to put an extra counter here just to remind me because there's special considerations here. What about the 2? Who gets to choose where they get hit? I know the hoplites have some special capabilities in in some circumstances with causing cohesion hits, which is... And I couldn't enter square because I'm charging into combat at this point. The decision to do that prevented me from that. So the effects of combat, there's an exception if the hoplite phalanx is attacking. It's not. So the cohesion hits are divided. The unit used to Give this superiority, we'll make it this one. Jesus. And then I can go to player's choice. I'll go over to this one just because he's further away. He'll be suffering less. All right, what about route here? Is that what's going to happen? See, I'm trying to remember because I seem to remember that the hoplites have some special rules in terms of resisting something. And I'm not finding that anywhere. Maybe it's only on the initial tactical quality check. Collapse. The player's now determined. Yeah, the hoplite phalanxes have a chance to avoid the collapse. But these guys are going to rout. So I get rid of these strength point markers right now and give them a routed marker. And now they have a problem in that they either have to route this way to get towards their edge or in the opposite direction, which is heading this way. And their sections are both blocked, which would destroy them, except I'm not sure whether or not they can route through their own unit and cause cohesion checks. So I have to find that. And once you get used to the game, any one of these particular games, you can pretty much play it by ear. What you can't do is just transfer the rules from one game to another, except maybe among like SPQR and all the other Roman ones, may be very similar. But for the most part, the system has some common elements, but doesn't really work like a system in the sense that there are significant little differences in how each thing is handled in the game. So friendly occupied hex adjacent to an enemy unit, I can do that. Or not adjacent, I can do that. So what happens if I route through my own unit, which I'm allowed to do? And I'm not seeing that. Here we go. If it's moved through, it causes a TQ check, which could cause some losses. It has a minimum of 1 if the check is made, though. Now, if the die roll result is higher, and it's TQ with a minimum of 1 cohesion hit. So I think that's going to cause a hit no matter what. I get a 3, that means I only cause 1 cohesion hit from my route, and I think the route is 2 hexes, is it not? Yeah, 2 hexes. I can get rid of this walk. We're no longer doing that. And I've got to go here because I can't be adjacent to the enemy. And now what? Somebody's got to advance. It's got to be the unit, I think, that took the tactical quality value. And I think we're done with that activation at this point. Something important to note here. If I don't rally these guys, they're going to throw their weapons down and basically disperse. Hoplites have no chance to stay on the board and keep routing. And I'm not sure whether or not I'm allowed to take anything but a movement action while I've got people on their advance to combat. So I may have just broken that unit completely. I'm not. We'll see as we go on. Okay, so I had a couple actions in a row. Persian Cav moved in, did some shooting. They've got these guys pretty well shot up and moved them from being at a run back down to a trot, you can see. They never actually moved in a run because they got shot down first. I don't know if I checked these guys. These guys got shot. I think I must have. I also moved one of the heavies into cav charge with the thought that the infantry will probably move forward. Now, it could pivot and try to hit them, and they're not able to use orderly withdrawal once they're in a charge formation. The other one I swung around to the side to try to get it behind. In case that does happen, I can push around and hit from behind, gaining advantages that way. I got the light infantry movement, and I moved them forward just a hex each. I don't think that's against my requirements for this scenario. No, I'm just not allowed to run away. I could just stand. I want to get them a little closer. The main reason is to draw the Hoplite phalanx units forward. If I stay too far away, there's not much reason to fear skirmishers. They can't even hit me from behind. So I'd concentrate more on the mobile wing side of things. As to the routed unit, I just drew the Hoplite's chit, so I had to look this up. The routed unit, I can do a rally on him and try to recover him, and these other things will still continue to move towards their closest enemy. Problem with that? Well, this guy's closest enemy is back here, as is this guy's, I think. He could go after the skirmishers instead. But what I'm not going to see is the hoplites charging the infantry. They are going to focus on these closer forces. So that's a potential issue there. They're actually allowed to even engage when they're in this special status of advance to combat for the first time. If I do a rally operation, because they're allowed to move as if they're out of command, and once you start those hoplites moving, they keep going. So there's no problem with me doing the rally operation. Let's take care of that, because I can. I'm within range of my formation commander. I'm not adjacent, but I am in range of things that can fire at me, so I can't rally them. Pity. Well, I guess he's probably dead then, unless I take my momentum action to rally after clearing things out. So what does it mean that I'm in this position? Well, I think I have to do an about face, and that's going to cost me, I think, 4 of my movement points. Those cav are just going to cause nothing but problems to my formation because of their ability to slip in behind me. I'm trying to find that here. Now, if I withdraw the cav, I may be too far away from these guys so that they don't turn and attack me. And so I want to take a look at how much the front, the reverse face maneuver costs 4 movement points. That's going to take all my movement. So I can allow them to do that. What I can't do, though, is a reaction fire unless I'm withdrawing. So this is what we're going to see here. These guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. I would rather go after the skirmishers. So I'm going to have to wheel. 1, he's trotting. 2, 3, and the skirmishers can say, ah, run away. They can't throw their javelins at that range. So I moved 3, I get 1 more move. I'll keep coming towards the skirmishers there. Now these guys are going to have an easier time of it. They're going to go after these skirmishers. As soon as I activate, the skirmishers can fall back a space. But I'm running, so 1, I'd like to hit 2 skirmishers if I can, not 3. So 2 to here. Now the skirmishers have already run, so they can't run again. And shit. Yeah. Now I made a mess. I've gotten clumsy recently. But they do get to fire their reaction fire at these hoplites that are attacking. And I'll take care of that. Since I'm running, Crap. And I've come in contact with the enemy. These guys have to make their tactical quality checks, of course. And they've got 3s each. I'll use red for the guy on my right. Okay, this just dissolves. And there goes. Yep. A point off of. Yep. Sorry about that. I got the wrong guys taking the points here. So we're going to be at 29 because we just took our first skirmisher, and that means these guys were at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 25, I guess. No, 26. They only had 4 skirmishers killed. So now I'm going to be hitting this thing, but you know what? I have to finish the rest of my movement. I shouldn't have done that attack. These guys actually wheel into position here. But I have to finish these other moves before I go on to that. And so what we had, these guys swing into place after the retreat, but here and here, these actually stood. I can't swing into place here where one was dissolved. We took another hit on the track there. The cav all fell back one at a time after firing as this approached. They routed it, and those hoplites just can't chase down the light cav, understandably. They don't hoplite enough. Now we've got some attacks, and let's do one of them to see what we've got here. We did the I did all the checks across here already. So now I'm hitting hoplite against a skirmisher here. Where the skirmishers on defense, I think, only do half damage. But if we look quickly, hoplite versus skirmisher gives us attacker superiority. Hoplite versus skirmisher gives us table 13. We have an extra unit because we're a double-sized unit, so that gives us +2 on the column. Yeah, but 13's as far as it goes. I think we don't have anything else here. These guys were running, so they actually get +2 to the die roll. And we end up with an 8, which does 1 hit to the attacker. Now that's halved, and infinite hits to the defender. They're wiped out, of course. By infinite, I mean 10. That's going to push us forward. I'm going to choose to go into these hexes. We no longer have the advance to combat marker. That rule is out of play for the units that actually are hitting. What's up with these guys? I don't know. They're going to have to figure out what they're doing. They're actually going to be out of command. Not that it matters much for the hoplites. They'll form up a line again of some sort. Now, the other effect to that is what? Oh, I've got to look to see if I take a hit. So if we look under skirmishers, round down, so they do no cohesion hits to their enemy. And now we'll continue with these, and those should get brushed aside just as easily. The next pick was the Persian momentum chit. Nobody's a good enough leader to really trump in this one. I moved one cav down to here. He needs to get closer to use his javelins, but I didn't want to do that. And another one's moving here, and he's going to fire. That's sufficient to get a hit on this. I'm really just trying to wear down the enemy units. This guy is going to recover his 2 points. I think it's more important to shoot things than to wear them down, or than to recover with the chariots. And we get another hit here. So we got that. So why am I doing this in this detail? Because I got something else I want to show. But first I got to make a quick roll on the Hoplite Advanced to Combat table, because they haven't advanced yet 3. That's going to keep him at his trot. Okay, so what's the other thing I wanted to show? Well, I don't remember what. Oh, I don't know. These guys had their I put a move counter out just to cover all of them. Normally you'd put one on each unit, but since all the hoplites that aren't routed moved, I figured that's appropriate. And the other thing, the reason I was actually here, I'm going to get the Ionian momentum chit. Now I could try to trump in and take this away. I have an initiative rating of 3, which I think means, if I recall correctly, that trumping happens on a 0 through 3. Do I want to do that? Well, you know, I could get some more fire in, but what I really want to have happen is I want him to fail to rally. And this one rally here is important in terms of that, because he can use the momentum to rally this force. The rest of these will have to keep moving forward. They're going to take cohesion hits if they move forward, though, and that's kind of the problem there. I can't rest. But that's only this guy who will be, and this guy, who will be taking the cohesion hits for going forward. This guy may not be in command. 1, 2, 3, 4. It doesn't really matter. Okay. So the question is, do I want to try to trump in? If I try to trump in, it puts the momentum marker in again. But you know what? I don't think there's a hell of a lot I can do with the command as it stands with momentum. It's going to actually wear out if it gets overused. He doesn't have to use those extra actions. So I'm going to take my shot at it with the Persians. Let's make sure I understand trumping correctly. It's based on initiative. And it can cancel it out. Yeah, that's what I want. I have to have to take a unit that's in command of the overall commander to do it, which means I'm going to try to trump in with the cav unit, which is fine. I fail. That means this is going to go back in to the chit cup. It's just going to get drawn again, and I get to take that momentum. I only have one group that can use it, and I am going to use it because I want to try rallying. I also want to move my leader, so I'm going to take care of that. But what about the rally? Well, for the rally here, is it charisma I use, or is it, you know, I can't recall which of the different abilities gets used. Formation Commander's Charisma for the OC or the capability. Okay, so it's going to be Charisma, and we'll try that. That's a 2. They're both 2 on him, so we'll do that. Now, if I'm doing Rally with his command, I don't think that affects my other choices here. Yeah, because I can move as per the out-of-command roles. What I can't do is recover hits with him, so I'll use his command to recover hits on those units which don't have to advance. I think I'll advance with these, try to crack into some of those light infantry and do some damage to them. Although I kind of like getting my formation into order first. But I don't know. I don't actually have to advance with this and take the cohesion hit. Okay, I failed, and I rolled high enough that this unit disappears right off the bat. It's going to anyway. So how many hits does it take? Well, we have to look at this. Hoplite phalanx are worth twice their TQ rating. His TQ rating 6, so that's 12 points off my Greeks. And you can see that didn't work very well at all for me. But it didn't really hurt me. For these guys, I'm going to remove 2 cohesion hits off these, 2 off these. Do I want to launch this forward? That's the big question. These have to move. 1, 2, 3, 4. The light infantry can withdraw. And back here, at 3 movement points, they can fall back. They take a hit for that, if I believe correctly. Those are light infantry archers. I'm going to fall back. I have 1 movement point on them, so I can fall back to here as these march. These don't come into contact. Let me get this guy out of here, because what I want to do is move him into range of these. Now these guys have to attack as well. They'll march forward like this, going into contact. But before they do that, back in this hex, because I'm activating them, I can withdraw the cav. The cav can go 8 minus 4 is 4 hexes, but they take a cohesion hit for it. They certainly don't want to fight, and they're going to get potentially some fire. The Javelineers do not. Get a chance to fire. They're too far away. But these other guys are going to get a chance. And these will go chasing after them, I guess. This guy took a cohesion hit for trying to move. And he also took 1 for fire, and that ended up routing him. This guy just moved his leader in. I haven't decided what I'm up to with him. He takes a cohesion hit for moving. I didn't count that against him yet. This guy, if he advances, will take a cohesion hit. I think these guys took 1. That's what I was trying to look up. Did the light infantry take a cohesion hit for their withdrawal? And you kind of have to remember all this crap, basically, all at once. So withdrawing infantry, other than skirmishers, take a cohesion hit. So he's got 1 under him. If I charge these, I'll get 1 and I'll give 1. I've got a movement of 4. I'm going to do it. 1. And now he withdraws. He can only withdraw 1 hex. 2, 3, 4. He's going to get hit. I'm going to hold, actually. 2 I hit. And as I move into there, I take... first I take the bowfire, and then I'm going to get a chance to actually attack those light infantry. Also going to take bowfire from this guy as he withdraws. He does not want to be there, so I forgot to roll that. I took the hit on the bowfire. Let's check this. 6, that's not going to hit, and he falls back 1, 2, 3, 4 hexes. He's going to be out of command because of that. Okay. Now the hit here is going, this is the only combat, so I'm not going to mark everything down. He's going to have to make a tactical quality check, and his quality is 5. He's fine. Now we have the hit of a Hoplite phalanx up against the light infantry. The attacker's superior. Hoplite phalanx against light infantry, that's going to put me on the 10 table. I get 2 extra because I've got more units, the double-sized units. So that's the 12 table. And that sounds like it. Other than the attacker's superior, 3. I take 2. He takes 6. Now those light infantry. Now I got to look up to see, are those light infantry able to do full damage? And that's, I think, see, this says light cav. No, that's attacker. If defender's not shock capable, these are not shock capable, so it only does 1 damage instead of the 2. And you can see there's a lot of, you know, all of these games, the GBOH stuff has a lot of counter swapping going on. Now, what was my total? It was, I think 5 on here. I think I rolled a 3. So that would go to 2 to 8. That's going to rout the hell out of these guys. And they run away. And now we can slam in like this. if we desire. Now, these guys do not get an orderly withdrawal, but they're also not engaged. And I don't get to slam into them. I'm not chariots or anything like that. Where are we now? We're at the second momentum, in which case there's only one chit left. So that momentum comes out again. I only have one unit to pick. I'm going to pick it. Unfortunately, if I do so, I have to keep moving this sucker forward. But other cases I get to do some rally attempts, and we'll see what happens here. An 8, that's worse than his tactical quality, so he is destroyed. His tactical quality of 6 means that's 12 more points off, and you can, son of a bitch, you can see I'm almost done with the Greeks. I get a check on this guy if I fail with him, and I fail, and I'm higher than tactical quality, so there's 10 more points. That's the battle. If I didn't make those rally attempts, that would be the battle too, because those units would be destroyed anyway. So I don't have to continue with the battle. I could finish out the turn, but there's no chance that I'm going to hit the route points here. So that's the end of Ephesus, and I think we'll do another one right away afterwards.